Hey everybody, Kyle Sasser here. It's everybody's favorite time of the month. That's right, real estate market statistics time. These real estate market statistics are for the Dayton Metro area for March 2025. Now, first off, yes, I did get a little bit taken off the sides here for frequent viewers of the channel. This is definitely a bit different than the last couple years. Yes, I did get a haircut. You're not crazy. Second thing is you can tell we're in a little bit different location here now. We don't have the normal blue walls. This is actually the downstairs of my house. Normally the studio is set up upstairs, and basically the wife and I got discussing it, and we moved the office to the other room, but the studio has not been fully set up there yet. It's a little fun to record things in different locations. I'll probably be bopping around the area just recording from some different locations here. And we do have the dog over here on the couch staring at me while I'm doing these videos. But enough about that. Let's talk about these real estate market statistics. So these market statistics are based on year over year, not month to month. So we are comparing February 2025 to February 2024. Why do we do that? Well, the 12 months of a calendar year has a natural ebb and flow where some months houses sell a little bit more strongly and other times maybe there's not as many listings. Typically that kind of follows the school schedule as well as, wintertime, just not as much is happening compared to the summertime. So we compare year over year versus month to month so that we can get a little bit better picture of what's going on in the market. The other thing you might notice is we're in March 2025 when you're watching this or when this is released. And you might be wondering why we're looking at February numbers. And that's just because a month is really the best time frame to look at statistics. A week is honestly too short if you can hit a stretch of bad weather, especially, which is just going to throw everything out of whack. And a day is way too short if you're looking at dailies. So month to month is really about the smallest grouping of stats that you can look at. Comparing year to year is about the only way to get any meaningful data out of real estate statistics. It's just the nature of the real estate market. So if you remember back to your math class, so we have average and median prices. So average is pretty, I'm sure everybody knows what that is. Let's say you have 5 homes. You add up the price of what those 5 homes sold for, divided by 5, that gives you the average price. Median sales price is a little different though. So what we do with median sales price is we take, say, 100 homes, and the median price is the point at which there's an equal number of homes above that point as well as below that point. So it provides more of the true midpoint of the market. And compared to average sales price, it is not pulled around or it's not impacted as much if there is a larger number of, so the average sales price can move around a lot if there's a lot of very expensive homes that sell. However, median sales price doesn't move around quite that much. So let's say that a $15 million beach home sells, well, that's really going to move the average sales price up, but that one sale isn't going to have a lot of impact on the median sales price. So let's dive into these Dayton market statistics for March 2025. Closed sales was down 14.6% from 949 homes to 810 homes. Median sales price was up 6.8% from $220,000 to $235,000, and the average sales price was up 5.6% from $257,739 to $272,172. Median percentage of original list price is down 1.9% from 98.1% to 96.2%, and median time to sale is up 25% from 52 days to 65 days. Now, the median time to sale there, what I like to do is I'll subtract about 30 to 35 days from that to try to arrive at a time to contract. So last year, that would have put us at about 22 days-ish time to contract. Currently, that would have us at about 30 to 35 days. And that's still very much seller's market territory, but that does tell us that things have softened up a little bit compared to last year. It's also not unusual for things to be pretty soft and to take longer to sell through the wintertime. Wintertime is not just our normal slow period. So not too surprising there, but median sales price and average sales price is still up. Total number of new listings is down 6% to 1,020 homes, and active inventory is up 29.9% of 1,363 homes. That's still significantly lower than it was immediately pre-COVID. You might see some news stories about, oh, there's tons of houses for sale. If you're comparing that to 2022, then yeah, but that's also like peak crazy time, which is not useful for trying to discern what normal market conditions should be. And then foreclosures and short sales, or the doom and gloom section, there's a total of 3 foreclosures, which was a 50% decrease, and 1 short sale, which is not many. I do like to break this down by the various price points because a medium $1 million house sells for a little bit different time frame than a $300,000 house. A lot of that's just because the buyer pool for the $1 million house is a lot smaller, so it tends to take longer to sell. Median time to sell, again, up across the board with the exception of 400 to 600,000, which was down 3.6% to 53 days. But like 250 to 300,000 was up 45.8% to 70 days. 300 to 400,000 was up 16.9% to 69 days. And then 600 to a million is up 49% to 73 days. So we can see that with the exception of that 400 to 600 level, homes are generally speaking taking a little bit longer to sell in February 2025 compared to February 2024. Total number of closed sales, 200,000 and less, are down across the board. So 150 to 200,000, there was 28% fewer. 100 to 150,000, there was 33% fewer. New line seems to be kind of the 200 to 250 mark. So there was 2.3% more homes sold at those prices. Total of 136. 250 to 300,000, there was 10.1% fewer homes sold, total of 98. 300 to 400,000 was down 0.7%, 147. And 600 to a million was down 12.9% to 27 homes sold. Number of new listings, again, we have a bit of a break. This time it's at 250 to 300,000. So there were fewer homes being listed below that price point, which makes sense. Just, prices keep going up a little bit. So whenever that happens, you're naturally going to have fewer and fewer homes at the lower price points. But 150 to 200,000, there was 9.4% fewer homes. 250 to 300,000, there was 10.7% fewer homes. Total of 134. And then 300 to 400, there was 10.4% more homes listed for sale, total of 180. 400 to 600,000, there was 12% more at 131. And then 600 or above, that's definitely the luxury market. 600 to a million was down 13.5% to 45, and then a million or more was down 40% to 6 new listings. And then total inventory is basically up across the board. There's more homes to choose from at all price points compared to 2024. So 200 to 250 was up 63.9% to 136. 300 to 400,000 was up 44.7% to 220. 400 to 600 was up 32.5% to 208. 600 to a million was up 16.1% to 101. And a million or more was up 4.3%, total of 24 homes. Those are the Dayton Real Estate Metro statistics for March 2025. So what can we make of these numbers and statistics? What does it mean? Basically, inventory is up, but not significantly so. We haven't had that demand inventory mismatch to the point where median sales prices will decline. Time to contract is definitely up, but again, not quite to the point where most sellers would start to initiate price declines. Honestly, overall total inventory is still significantly lower than it was even a few years ago. So overall, prices and home sales, at least statistically, look like they're going to continue to do the same thing that they have been doing. There's a bit of an X factor out there, as you know. It depends on what the economy's doing, what government jobs and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is doing so far as the Dayton Metro is concerned. At least currently, the numbers don't show any major shift or decline or downturn with any of those sorts of developments, but it is something I'm keeping an eye on. Honestly, most of the other markets that I've been looking at also have not shown a decline at this point, although I will caveat that by saying, most real estate statistics will take 2 to 3 months to show up. So a lot of the economic changes and stuff like that, the government employments and stuff like that, I would expect that to start to show up if it's going to around like June, July, which is interesting because that's our summer peak season. To me, the question is, economic sentiments and that downturn going to be such that it overcomes that natural summertime wave of increased purchases? Or, is inventory still so low? I mean, there's literally only just a little over 1,000 houses for sale. Is the natural demand enough to overcome that and just kind of, keep the market where it is at currently, or even a slight price increase through the year? I'm leaning towards things basically holding about the same as they always have been. I wouldn't really be doing my job if I said there wasn't any sort of maybe indicator that there might be a change coming, because, those economic factors do definitely play a part. But currently, statistically, if you're looking to buy a home, you have a lot more homes for sale. And if you are looking to sell a home, we're still very close to record high prices, and selling the home is still relatively straightforward. You know, like 30 days time to contract is still very much seller's market territory, and you shouldn't feel too stressed with selling a house in that time frame. Although you still have to do everything correct to get that great price, because you know, buyers do have a little bit more to choose from than they did last year or the year before. So those are the real estate statistics and analysis for the Dayton metro area. I want to talk about home inventory currently. There's been some news stories out there that inventory is like crazy high. There's big percentages, you know, there's 4 times as many homes for sale. Those news stories are basically something that is technically true, but it's missing a key context that you have to understand. So real estate is not just one metric. You basically, it's a machine, right? So there's all these sorts of inputs and outputs that are going in. So it's like, well, if inventory is high, that doesn't really matter that much if you're still selling a large number of homes, because that means that it basically, if everything that's going up for sale sells within 30 days, home prices are going up because the demand is too high. What you want to see if you're looking for prices to level off and then decline is you need a long-term mismatch of inventory and demand, which we do technically currently have, but I have to point out that the news stories that say that inventory is up are usually comparing it to 2022, which is ridiculous. It was ridiculously low in 2022. It is comparing it to a market that was entirely unsustainable and exceptional. 2021 and 2022 were not normal market conditions, and you cannot compare regular market conditions to crazy pants time. I remember there was a period of time in like the early 2000s where beer hops were astronomically priced because supply was so low, and you can't use that data to try to arrive at what, you know, beer hops and beer should cost today, because the market is completely different. That was a record low point and completely unrelated to the current market. So yes, there are 3,000 or 4,000 homes for sale. That is effectively back to 2018, 2019 levels of inventory. And if you don't believe me, you can go look in this report, because it goes, even though I only do year-to-year comparisons, there are numbers all the way back to 2021 here. So you can see where those low points are. And then, you know, my spreadsheet data goes all the way back to 2003 or 4, depending upon the MLS. So we do have a lot more homes for sale, but we're really back to like 2018-ish inventory levels, which was still very much a seller's market. The inputs matter. So now we do have this mismatch of, you know, demand is relatively low, but we do have a large amount of inventory. And if that persists long enough, or if inventory grows enough, and this is the important part, for a lengthy amount of time, meaning usually 6, 8, 12 months, if you have that supply-demand mismatch, then prices will come down as all the people that have those homes for sale learn that buyers are not interested in the house at that price, and then they start reducing the price to, you know, to get a buyer to buy the house. But again, the important part of that is the mismatch for a very long length of time. It's human nature, because sellers do not want to sell their house for less than they could have sold it for, you know, 2 or 3 months ago. It's just human nature. So it takes time for that to happen. Market-wise, there are sections of Florida that have had that mismatch for long enough that significant declines have been seen. Not in the Tampa Bay area though, currently. Tampa Bay, so far as I can tell, is still holding pretty strongly despite 2 hurricanes coming through the area last year. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch these real estate market statistics for Dayton. My name is Kyle Sasser. If you would like help with your own home in the Dayton metro area, I would love to help you out, whether you're thinking about buying or selling. I do both. You can reach me at 937-907-6777. There'll also be a link in the description down below to my calendar. You can go there and book a chat for the time that works best for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Kyle Sasser, and I'll talk to you soon.